Governor Inslee, welcome back to the House Energy and Commerce Committee. Out of curiosity, I just wanted to start out by asking you how you traveled here and what the carbon footprint was associated with that travel, and if you had laid out specific steps to offset that impact.
Yes, I intend to develop a clean energy system for the United States and the state of Washington, and that will be the most tremendous offset of anything I've ever done in my entire life, because we will give my grandchildren an opportunity to have a life that's not severely degraded. And I traveled here the same way that everybody on this committee traveled here, which is on a jet airplane, and we are now developing biofuels, and we have developed biofuels in my state, something we should be proud of at Washington State University and Alaska Airlines. Yes. That have developed a biofuel that we can fly. We've flown a Boeing airplane across the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes, thank you. And I'm excited about the biofuels too, because it helps us address what's going on our forest. Governor Inslee, as you know, in Washington State, our largest source of clean, renewable, reliable, affordable energy is hydropower, 70%. The Columbia and Snake River system provide important energy for us. They also provide irrigation to water our crops, making agriculture our #1 industry. Flood control, preventing catastrophic floods that we had in years past. Barging a product up and down the river. It's really a super highway with significantly less carbon impact than trucks or trains. So I just had some yes or no questions I wanted to ask you. Do you support removal of the dams?
I support what we're doing in our state, which we have a task force to help respond to the federal court order to evaluate the potential of that, both from the positive and negative consequences, and there are both positive and negative consequences. And I support a way for Washington citizens to have their voices heard so that they can look at the cost to agriculture of difficulty moving wheat, for instance. They can look for the costs of transportation, but they can also look at the potential positives from the salmon recovery standpoint. And as you know, we're in a federal court order to determine all of these things. So I support Washington State citizens being able to have a system, which we've developed, as you know, on our task force, to be able to address that issue. And I'll be working with citizens to evaluate all of those things.
Okay, I have some other questions. Do you acknowledge that fish rates are maintaining even levels or even increasing, as was outlined in your own State of the Salmon report?
I'm sorry, did you say fish rates?
Yes, fish return rates up and down the river.
No, I am not confident that over a long term that we have stability on the Columbia system. And the reason I say that is that the system is dependent on things in the salmon life cycle that are not on the system itself. They depend, for instance, on food chains out in the Pacific Ocean. And unfortunately, we are seeing some degradation of those food chains because of climate change, because of increasing temperatures, both in the mainstream and in the ocean, and in acidification of the ocean.
Yes or no?
So the answer is no.
Okay, thanks. I have another one. Do you agree if the dams are removed, Washington's agriculture industry will be negatively impacted?
It would be if we did not find some other alternative for transportation. And that's one of the things that this group is going to be evaluating, is to determine whether there are feasible alternatives for transportation. And that's something that I think that deserves a great scrutiny, where everyone's voice is heard to look at those potential alternatives. And there may be potential alternatives in rail and trucking and the like. And I think that that is appropriately investigated in a real sense, where we can really get down to it. And here's the reason I say that. I think it's important for people to have a forum to look at this on a scientifically credible way, rather than just press releases or bumper stickers. We need people listening to one another, and I hope that that'll happen.
Okay. I think I'll just go to my last question, which is about your recent travel expenses and increased security, detail, expenses to run for president. Do you plan to reimburse the taxpayers of Washington State for these expenses that you're incurring on non-official business, and do you plan to offset the carbon emissions associated with that non-official travel?
So we plan to follow the law and plan to follow the current law, and that's what we'll be doing.
Thank you. I yield back.